Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. I want to go a little bit deeper into stage 6 of the 24 Vuelta a España. I know I covered it already on the butterfly effect, but you couldn't cover everything. And when we see some of the press out there from Patxi Vila, one of the director sportifs there of Bora Hansgrohe, he says that the plan didn't go quite according to plan. They couldn't control everything. Ben O'Connor was just too strong. What does he mean by that? What's he talking about? How was Ben O'Connor too strong? When we look at the course, the biggest problem with the course for Patxi Vila when he was setting up all the tactics for Bora Hansgrohe is when Ben O'Connor's attacking in 60 kilometers to go. First off, he put Lipovitz in that front group, so he thought Lipovitz, being the GC threat at 1 minute 50 seconds, 6 seconds ahead of Ben O'Connor, he thought that'd force all the other teams to start chasing. They didn't start chasing right away. Bora Hansgrohe backed off the throttle. They waited back there for Nico Dins and for Gamper to come back to the front along with some other teammates, and then they had more of a force at the front, but those guys are done. What we didn't see on the camera when we're talking about a stage that was massive in length, 115 miles in length, that's 185 kilometers. When the cameras are coming on at 100, we're missing 110, 115 kilometers of racing, and I can guarantee you, because we know the racing was full gas, that they're attacking Bora Hansgrohe all over the place. So Nico Dins was probably on the front, pulling like a monster back there, and it was blowing his legs up. Rightfully so. It was blowing up the rest of the teams, at least half the team's legs back there, and that's why we saw those 3 riders have to come back up to the front. But once they did, at that moment, the gap's still only a minute. You can still control the group right there and just ride a good tempo with a little more force. Lipovitz, as I explained in the butterfly effect, he wasn't given instructions what to do. Every time he's spraying water on himself and reaching his pocket in the cookie jar when Ben O'Connor's going up the road. When the time bonus sprint comes up, you gotta understand that Lipovitz has to be told, you have to watch Ben O'Connor. You need these time bonuses. You want to stay ahead of Ben O'Connor. If you can get some more time on him, even better. And then you mirror him. As long as you stay with the 2 AG2R riders, Berthet there, and with Ben O'Connor, you're going to be okay. But instead he let the biggest threat in that group go, which I told you on the butterfly effect. Now the next mistake is multiple teams came to the front. Bahrain Victorious came to the front, but again, they're not pulling with their best climbers, their freshest guys. I guarantee Bahrain Victorious was probably covering moves back there too. When we see UAE Team Emirates climbing on the front and setting tempo up there, and we see that Soler is looking like he's having a Solerism when he's looking over there over at Bora Hansgrohe, and he's going to Nico Dins there, and he's saying like, hey, why don't you guys start chasing? Well, it's not a Solerism. He should be asking that question because the gap has gone up to 5.5, 6 minutes. So Soler is right at that moment, but Bora Hansgrohe still haven't changed their plan. Patxi Vila, their director sportif, or whoever's driving the car, said, hey, we're going to let this go. We're not going to panic. But when all the teams like Bahrain Victorious and when UAE Team Emirates and Lidl Trek all got on the front to start chasing, and Movistar, we're talking about at least 50 kilometers worth of time that Bora Hansgrohe could come back and communicate and say, oh, we messed up. This gap's getting a little out of hand. This is Ben O'Connor. Now, I told you on Butterfly Effect, Ben O'Connor got dropped on stage 4. But we have seen in years past, like I told you, that he can come good. Once you see in the video with Ben O'Connor flying down these descents and not getting tired. And why is he not getting tired? The course is super technical and twisty, and the climbs are not super steep. We're talking about 4%, maybe 5% sections, but when you're dropping down these technical descents, Ben O'Connor's flying on the pedals, pushing full gas. The peloton back there's flying on the pedals, pushing full gas, but everybody has to because it's twisty. As the first rider comes out of the left or right turn, the rider in the back, as each rider goes further back in the peloton, they got to accelerate and push even harder on the pedals, so nobody's getting the kind of draft. If I took you back to stage 4 on that first mountain stage, where the roads are straight and flat and just rolling along, and you get a great draft and the peloton's wide, so everyone's getting a nice draft back there, not doing much acceleration. Now when you look on stage 6, and the director sportif says he expected, from Bora Hansgrohe, he expected Ben O'Connor to tire out. Well, Ben O'Connor's going full gas. He's able to rest through those corners, come out of the corners smooth. He doesn't have to rely on the riders in front of him. He goes through smooth. He powers again, goes through the left, gets a little rest, comes out of the corners fast, hard, powers 100%. He's got fantastic form, but he's getting recovery between each of the curves that are coming up. The climbs aren't that difficult, so they're not slowing him down. And because the climbs aren't difficult, Bora Hansgrohe, Movistar, and of course UAE team members and Bahrain Victorious, they're putting other riders on the front than their climbers on the front with a lot of power that might have some form left. They're putting all riders on the front that I guarantee you for the first 115 kilometers of this race before the cameras came on, all the riders we saw riding on the front from Movistar and UAE Team Emirates and Bahrain Victorious, all those riders were covering attacks all over the place, and now they're done and dusted. That's why the time is still getting lost up there to Ben O'Connor, because he's going full gas, so he's gaining time on the peloton, because all these riders had done a ton of work with 115 kilometers to go, and they're not the #1 rider back there looking after the race leader. It wasn't Vlasov on the front. Did you guys ever see Vlasov on the front? I didn't. So Bora Hansgrohe didn't put those guys on there. Movistar didn't put their head honchos on there that are trying to help Enric Mas out. And UAE team members put Soler on there. We saw when the cameras came on, Soler was attacking left and right and got brought back to the peloton, so he smoked. We didn't see back there on the front Adam Yates riding full gas for Almeida. So it wasn't their #1 support for their super GC riders here. It was even further back. And Ben O'Connor was rested after all those corners and the twitchiness versus the peloton when it's single file. None of those guys coming up to the front when they're taking over for Bahrain Victorious, none of them are completely fresh. They didn't get the right rest. So the director sportif did not read the course right. Now, he said they can't do everything. It was a bad day, and they hope that Primož Roglič can little by little have to keep bringing back time. So we have an amazing Vuelta a España to look forward to, because Primož Roglič is going to have to do everything on all the mountain stages and keep chipping away time, or Ben O'Connor's going to have to blow up. And I don't see Ben O'Connor blowing up after I watch stage 6 here of the Vuelta a España, because he looks like he's on very good form. And I've seen this in the Tour de France before when he finished 4th overall. So it's going to be an exciting Vuelta a España. But Bora Hansgrohe messed up all over the place. And the other teams that rode for Bora Hansgrohe, when we're talking UAE, when we're talking Movistar and Bahrain Victorious, what were you guys doing on the front anyways? This was the perfect scenario for you not to be on the front, for Bora Hansgrohe to have to ride everybody all the way through to Vlasov, and then make Primož Roglič do something amazing, or have him lose more time. The more time Primož Roglič would have lost today, the more pressure to put on Bora Hansgrohe to attack in these next mountain stages. And guess what? When Primož Roglič attacks in these next mountain stages, if you're Mas, you get to sit on his wheel again. If you're UAE Team Emirates Almeida, you get to sit on his wheel again after he gets that first acceleration on. You'll have to diesel back if you're Almeida. But after you get back up there, you'll get to sit on. Today's stage 6 really set up a remarkable further stages here at the Vuelta a España. And this stage 6 was just like stage 6 of 2023, where they let Sepp Kuss go up the road. I told you guys that it was ludicrous and we wouldn't see Sepp Kuss going back up the road, but I didn't think it would be Ben O'Connor taking the race leader's red jersey by 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Bora Hansgrohe are certainly knuckleheads. When we see the interview afterwards from Primož Roglič, where I said in the butterfly effect he looked very upset about what happened on today's stage, or he was incredibly fatigued from today's stage, and I gotta believe it was more him being upset. When we get done, when it's all said and done, Primož Roglič, he said, they can't control everything, but you definitely can control on a stage like today. You guys just did it wrong. Lipovitz wasn't educated. You guys didn't work with the other teams back there when they did finally get on the front, which they shouldn't have been anyways. Should have been the Bora Hansgrohe show up in front of the peloton the whole time. And guess what? You could have always brought Lipovitz back after you realized that there's no way you're catching Ben O'Connor up there. Lipovitz could have dropped back, went back to the front of the group there and started chasing like crazy with Vlasov, with Danny Martinez. You guys didn't ride anyone, so you deserve to be 4 minutes and 51 seconds behind Ben O'Connor, the Australian from AG2R. Exciting, fantastic stages we got to look forward to now, because Bora Hansgrohe are put under the knife by Ben O'Connor, the Aussie rider. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next Butterfly Effect edition real soon.